On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918, the guns fell silent. The Great War was over. The day November 11th becoming Armistice Day and later Veterans Day. Good evening and thanks for joining us for Veterans Voices honoring those that served. I'm Elliot Grandia. All day across the state line, area veterans paying tribute to those who served. This was the tribute at the LZ Peace Memorial this morning. On hand, veterans and their families ranging from the Korean War all the way to Desert Storm and even Iraqi freedom. The crowd a little smaller than normal thanks to COVID, but dozens still turning out. Ryder is a veterans advocate and a former Marine. He tells us he's just grateful people make a point to honor veterans because it wasn't always that way.
It means a lot to me because it shows that the country has changed, the country has developed, the country has realized how important veterans are, not only to our community, but to the country as well and to the world. And I think it really says a lot about where we were 50 years ago and where we are today, that things have gotten better.
In downtown Rockford, veterans standing guard, praying for peace. They're part of the group Veterans for Peace. This morning, they took post alongside the Victory sculpture near Veterans Memorial Hall. They held peace signs calling for an end to all war around the world. The vigils is held every Veterans Day. Organizers say prayers are for all military members, whether active duty or when they return home.
I think that it's very patriotic to be working for peace, to try to prevent so many wars. And the veterans that are returning should get as much help as possible to overcome their wounds. And many of the wounds are not only physical, but spiritual.
Veterans for Peace holding a similar service on Memorial Day, giving respect to those who gave their lives fighting for our country. Well, students and staff at a Rockford school take time to pay tribute to those who served. Rockford Lutheran creating a video honoring veterans. It was shared during a virtual assembly. See it right here. All of the vets in that presentation were related to current students. Kids even had the chance to share personal messages for our troops. And while many schools have Veterans Day off, Lutheran leaders say there's a benefit to being in session today.
I think it's really cool when we're in school that we can join together in honoring veterans. Because most likely if our students weren't in school for Veterans Day, they probably wouldn't do anything. They'd be at home and not necessarily talking about Veterans Day or doing anything to thank veterans. So I think it's kind of cool when we're in session to be able to pull them together.
This was actually the first time relatives were used in the Veterans Day tribute. Normally vets are asked to speak in person. That wasn't possible this year because of COVID. Both President Trump and President-elect Biden spent Veterans Day honoring those who served. Joe Biden and his wife visiting the Korean War Memorial in Philadelphia, where he laid a wreath. And this morning, Biden released a statement honoring the nation's veterans, saying that they've earned our thanks and respect. Meanwhile, President Trump and First Lady Melania marking the day at Arlington Cemetery. They, along with the Vice President and his wife, visiting the tomb of the unknown soldier. The president said, quote, "We pause to pay tribute to all have proudly worn our nation's uniform, selflessly placing lives, well-being, and security of others before their own." Over the weekend, our state line community prepared for Veterans Day by lining the streets with the American flag. Dozens of American flags can now be seen down Elliot Street in Winnebago. It was all in an effort just to show America pride for today's Veterans Day parade. Volunteers from Flags Over Bago say this simple task really important to them.
It means to us like freedom, basically, like all of our United States coming together, and it's very important. What do you think? I think it means love for all, and I love the United States and Illinois.
We love their spirit. Well, the Veterans Day parade started at Crossroads Church parking lot. Even though today was a beautiful day in the state line, we're headed into chillier months out of the year. Ari Bruckman was at Emmanuel Lutheran Church, where the church's women's ministry busy making blankets to give veterans this year.
Just because times are difficult, we still need to look after our veterans.
In honor of Veterans Day, Emmanuel Lutheran Church's women's ministry held lap blankets for vets. This is one of 2 service projects the church participates in every year.
We have 2 major service projects per year. Lapgans for Vets is one of them. We've done it now for the past 5 years.
The blankets are made out of fleece and handcrafted by members of the women's ministry.
We got a grant from Thrivent in which we were able to purchase all the fleece material, and we have enough this year to make 60 blankets.
The church's women's ministry had all hands on deck to help make the blankets. Caitlin Davis and Hope Bozeman represent the younger participants at the event, but their maturity was wise beyond their years.
It's really special. I love helping out here. All of my friends are here helping too. I think it's a great opportunity to be here and help and serve others.
I'm very lucky to have a chance like this to help the people who have served our country and risked their lives so we could have a better life.
Reporting in Belvedere for your home team, I'm Ari Bruckman.
On Veterans Day, the National Museum of the United States Army opening to the public for the very first time. You can find it at Fort Belvoir. It's less than 30 minutes from the nation's capital. And it's the only museum to tell the more than 245-year history of the military branch. Jesse Tenor takes us inside.
This American treasure now lives.
The service and sacrifice of the more than 30 million American men and women who have worn the Army uniform is now on full display.
This grand opening is particularly fitting to occur on Veterans Day, where we salute the sacrifice of those who have served.
Army Secretary Ryan McCarthy joined other top-ranking officials to open the National Museum of the United States Army to the public Wednesday at Fort Belvoir, Virginia. It's the first of its kind and covers the Army's history from the Revolutionary War to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
The Army's history is America's history.
Army Chief of Staff General James McConville and other visitors can see the vehicles that broke through German lines during the Battle of the Bulge in World War II, carried U.S. troops ashore on D-Day, and led the 2003 charge from Kuwait to Baghdad.
We cannot truly appreciate the sacrifice of our soldiers unless we see the weapons they use, feel the uniforms they wear, hear the stories they told.
General Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, says the extraordinary examples of ordinary people play out through other artifacts, documents, images, and artwork, the majority of which have never been seen by the public.
It allows all of us to connect and be forever tied to those who came before us,
with hopes of inspiring future generations of men and women to follow in their footsteps.
We remain Army strong.
In Washington, I'm Jesse Tenor.
During World War II, the nations around the world were all on a constant search for unbreakable codes. Many looking to technology like the German Enigma machine. Here in the U.S., the Marines took a bit of a different approach. From all across the homeland, hundreds of Native American men volunteering to become Navajo code talkers. David Romero has more on the secret soldiers that really helped us win the war.
The greatest thing was sacrificing our lives for our country. It wasn't just a duty, it was a responsibility, and we knew that we had to defeat the enemy or they would defeat all of us, take what we had.
Roy Hawthorne and more than 400 fellow code talkers volunteered from both sides of the state border inside the Navajo Nation of New Mexico and Arizona. Now, the idea to use the Navajo language as a communications code in the Pacific Theater came from a military man who once lived on the reservation. He knew the Navajo language was incredibly complex and only known by a small group of people. Young Navajo men were recruited, and this was to create the code using common names in their language to describe the military terms like battleships, tanks, and reconnaissance planes.
It's quiet, doesn't carry any armament. That's a hummingbird. In Navajo, it was Daki-tien.
In battles across the Pacific, code talkers would relay thousands of messages with no errors, and their code would never be broken by the Japanese. Hawthorne and the others had used their language as a successful weapon a native language that was ironically often prohibited in reservation boarding schools at home.
The language was discouraged. The use of it was discouraged.
The role of the code talkers in the war was kept secret for decades. Only much later were they acknowledged and their story fully told. Hawthorne says despite the hardships his native people had endured on American reservations, when the war came, frustrations were set aside.
We were loyal to our country. It wasn't because it was called America, but it was called a people that were willing to do for other people. That's the way we treated one another.
Roy Hawthorne passed away in 2018. Very few of the original 400 code talkers are alive today, and there's a big push in New Mexico to create a museum to honor these heroes. Last year, the New Mexico legislature and the governor pledged more than $1 million to start construction of the museum. For Veterans Voices, I'm David Romero.
The saying goes, every picture tells a story. That's why a portrait photographer is traveling the nation right now, taking hundreds of pictures of veterans. As Jeremy Hubbard reports, he's hoping to help tell their stories.
All I remember was like getting hit in the head with a baseball bat.
When you've taken a bullet to the helmet like Bill Purcell has,
you got nailed down.
Your story has to be told.
February 1st, 1968, Way City.
Truth is, this entire room is full of Marines and sailors with unforgettable stories.
Here we go, right here. 1, 2, 3.
And a veterans charity is making sure they don't go untold any longer.
Just looking right at the camera.
John Reedy is a photographer for the Greatest Generations Foundation, a nonprofit aimed at preserving the history of American heroes.
Looking right to me. There we go.
The charity has been gathering groups of Vietnam and Korean War vets like this all over the country for portrait sessions.
This is probably the most meaningful work that I've done in my career. Looking right at the lens here. Nothing kind of compares with leaving something that, you know, has a legacy and has an impact that this kind of work does. Okay, gentlemen, can you get a little bit closer together? To see people when they follow me, that they talk about how this actually can bring tears to their eyes to see the portraits, you know, and to know that the work conveys that kind of emotional impact is kind of awesome.
It is a rare moment to shine for veterans who have never sought the spotlight before.
I was in Korea from all of 1952.
Men like 88-year-old Ted Gembczynski of Colorado Springs, Colorado, who fought on the cold battlefields of Korea, the so-called Forgotten War.
When I wear my cap, or people can see that I was there, I just let them know it was my turn.
It's a big deal because I think that most of those guys, the Korean War vets, need to be recognized because they and the World War II vets were the ones that we built on.
Some of these men spent decades in the service. Some did more than one tour on the battlefield. For Dennis Sedlack of Longmont, Colorado, service is in his blood.
I enlisted because my dad was Navy and World War II, and you know, that seemed the thing to do. You couldn't look your dad in the eye if you didn't serve. It significantly altered my life to the point that I will say that I am back from the war. I am not home from the war yet, and I'm some 52 years later.
I'm just looking right at the camera. Perfect.
Their portraits will be made into a commemorative photo book alongside 70 other Korean War vets from all over the country and more than 50 Vietnam vets.
Try to see into their eyes and just try to see who they were. Hopefully we can do that.
The books will be given to schools and museums all over the country so future generations can learn about their place in our past and how to hopefully keep what happened to them from ever happening again.
It's very important. History repeats itself.
For Veterans Voices, I'm Jeremy Hubbard.
Welcome back. Many say dogs are man's best friend, but for some military veterans, that's an understatement. Service members who've survived combat when war zones often face challenges adapting back to everyday life. Dogs have been proven to be beloved companions on their road to recovery. Take a look.
Dottie? Dottie, watch me. Okay, let's go. Good girl. This is Dottie. She is 19 months old and she is a black lab. She's been paired with me.
After 7 years in the Army, Michelle went back to civilian life, but it wasn't easy.
For me, basically, it is climbing Mount Everest every time I leave my house.
Michelle was having trouble going out in public. Eventually, she was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder.
Simple task for a person without PTSD, I should say, is something that I cannot do. For example, going to the grocery store is a task I'm not able to do. I'm not able to go to Target. Walmart, forget it.
Like many veterans, she's gone through a list of treatments and therapies to no avail until she learned about Service Dogs of Virginia, located in Charlottesville.
My hope for having Dottie is that I am finally able to return to a normal life again, that I am able to have a sense of normalcy back in my life. Good girl, let's go.
But getting a dog like Dottie is easier said than done. It cost approximately $40,000 over a 2-year period to raise, train, and place a successful service dog with a person in need. Sally Day serves as the Director of Development at Service Dogs of Virginia.
I do everything I can to raise funds. We do not pass on that cost to our clients. I write grants. We have individual donors. I get corporate sponsorships.
Since 2000, the organization has placed over 95 dogs with clients throughout Virginia.
How do you guys go about placement? I imagine there's a long list of people who are needing assistance.
When service dog organizations began, they all started with a waiting list because there was so much need. Essentially, we're trying to meet the need that's out there, and that's why we have grown.
Today was day 2 of transfer camp for the dogs and the new owners. It's a little different than in years past with social distancing and mask wearing. Each dog here is being paired for different clients with different needs.
Go in.
Michelle excited about her new relationship. In 2 weeks, they'll be out on their own.
This is just a tool for me to carry around with me. This is going to be like having my best friend with me wherever I go.
She hopes by sharing her story, other veterans will be inspired.
I think it's extremely important. Not all wounds are visible.
Knowing that it's okay to ask for a helping hand or paw to guide them through a difficult time.
I would encourage them to reach out, seek the help. Nobody's going to look at you differently.
For Veterans Voices, I'm Constance Jones.
Well, thanks so much for joining us for Veterans Voices, honoring those that served. Hope you enjoy the stories of service, and thank you to all that will and have served. Have a great night.